In unwavering resolve, Rocky Marciano conquered his flaws to reign as undefeated champion.
I've admired very, very much, and that was Rocky Marciano. You see, Rocky Marciano was very clumsy. He had 2 left feet, and he couldn't fight. But Marciano was the most determined heavyweight champion I've ever seen. He never lost a fight. He is the one that really showed me what determination is all about. Determination is a powerful weapon that makes dreams come true with all parts of life.
I saw Rocky in some of the stages that he was quite awkward, and I saw him fight some awkward fights, but I knew that he had something you can't buy. You must have it given to you from nature. Punching power, natural punching power. You can't buy it.
I knew Rocky very well. He was something.
Yeah, wasn't that big, you know?
No, he wasn't.
But
short.
once the bell would ring, you thought he was a giant.
Never took a step back.
No.
I still give William to Joe Louis. He was the greatest fighter that ever put on a pair of boxing gloves, along with Jack Johnson and Rocky Marciano. George Foreman is today's best.
If you could pick any heavyweight champion in history, who do you think would have given you the toughest fight of them?
The toughest fight would be the man who's the hardest to knock out, whether he's got a style. And a fellow who had no style, just a bull, was Rocky Marciano.
Marciano was the best slugger, I would say street fighter.
Marciano just kept coming. He hurt your arms. He could take everything. He would be the most trouble, I think.
In my opinion, that Rocky Marciano was a technical fighter. He wasn't. I can compare him to a street fighter with a huge heart, and he never lost.
My style was kind of a cross between Floyd Patterson and Rocky Marciano. If you put those 2 people together, I think you would have me.
Being very short, he was able to get inside quicker with short arms and powerful punches. He turned those things that people thought was a disadvantage into an advantage. Plus, he had a tremendous heart and determination. And these things, what people don't know, don't show up on the statistic.
Eddie Charles is a former heavyweight champion. He knows what it's like to be in there with the best of them. And he rises to meet the rampaging Rocky Marciano. And this is why Rocky was such a great fighter, because he came back from the brink of defeat to hurt Charles, drop him down for the first time of the fight. And as we see here, Charles is trying to hold on to survive, but when Marciano wants to fight, he can't be stopped. This is a typical Marciano fight, overcoming all the obstacles, showing his tremendous will to win.
Mike, a lot of people compare you with Rocky Marciano because of your punching power and your aggression. How do you react to those comparisons?
Well, believe me, Alex, I'm flattered to be mentioned in the same breath with such a legendary fighter. I'm doing the best that Mike Tyson could do. And really, I think it was a privilege to even be mentioned in the same sentence with Rocky.
Rocky Marciano was never hit as solidly as people thought. Very seldom. By employing the methods that he used, the so-called awkwardness, the lack of smoothness, and so forth. He used this intelligently. It was used as a weapon by Rocky, because of the fact that it lessened the opinion of the smart fighter in coping with him. The opponent would always think that this fella is not a good fight. He doesn't know how to fight. And his performance unconsciously would sometimes fall to that level.
So I want to ask you a question. What do you think would have happened if I fought Rocky Marciano?
In my opinion, Rocky Marciano would have given you the toughest fight of all these other opponents, even though he may not be skillful.
So Marciano gave me the toughest fight of everybody.
That's right, for one reason. While he had the aggressiveness, and I think far more aggressive than Jack Dempsey, and the determination and so forth, the only difference between him and Dempsey, he was able to sustain his aggressiveness, his aggression, constantly throughout the whole fight and never stop punching.
In the second round, I knocked Rocky down, and Rocky got up, and the war began. And I enjoyed the fight. Really, I'm a guy that enjoyed competition, and I enjoyed the fight because Rocky was such a great competitor, and he overwhelmed me because he was much stronger than I was.
Marciano's style, he was always a guy that was offensive-minded, he was busy. But in his fight, he was much busier. And it wasn't by accident. And that's one of the things that I talk about, the intellect, that he was smart enough to make adjustments when he had to. He stepped up his pace because he knew that Archie Moore was a great defensive fighter. So he figured if he pitched a lot of punches at him, he'd keep him playing defense. And if he was playing defense, he couldn't hurt him. He couldn't do anything back to him.
There's some nerves that go along the elbow or from the elbow down to the wrist, and they start taking a pounding. And that's what happened to him. He told me honestly. He said, this man, he hit you on the arms and hurt my arms so bad. That's the power of Marciano.
He came around with some awful bone-cutting jokes. He was just a hard hitter. Slam, bam, didn't give a damn.
Just pounding his opponent on the ropes. He only knew one way to fight, and that's to come forward and throw murderous punches. And this is why Marciano was such a great champion. Non-stop punching for 15 rounds until the opponent went down, as Moore did here. Marciano and Walcott here fighting like gladiators, neither one giving an inch. Here we see both of them about to throw right hands, but Rocky just beat him to the punch. and down goes Jersey Joe Walcott. And an extra left hook, and we have a new champion.
I was kind of glad in the 13th when I finally did hit home because you were ahead.
You know, Rock, I was wondering when he was going to get to that 13th round. I don't see how you could think I could ever get it. You know, if it hadn't been for the 13th round, I perhaps could have won on to win the title. But you came on so strong and did such a terrific job and finishing me off, you know, and went on to be a great champion, which you've proven to be. I'm proud that I was the fellow you wanted from because you really have done boxing a great credit, and you're a real credit to the American way of life.
You have to rate Rocky as one of the all-time greats because of his longevity and his record. You never saw him lost. You saw him on the brink of destruction. And that's what makes a great champion, when they're on the brink of destruction and they come back.
Rocky fought the guys they put in front of him. That's what any fighter could do. You fight the guys they put in front of you. And everyone they put in front of him, he knocked out. He destroyed. Rocky, I certainly think, proved his point against any of the opposition they put in front of him.
Rocky, you said he had quite an influence on your life.
Yes, he did. I noticed something about Rocky right from the beginning. You'd ask him a question about someone. If he didn't have something good to say about him, he'd pass the question, because all he could do is speak good of everyone.
Do you try and pass along some of the things you learned from him to other fighters?
I sure do. Keep trying, because when I first saw Rocky Marciano in the gymnasium, he no more looked like a fighter than my wife. And the guy made a great fighter, became undefeated heavyweight champion of the world, which is a tremendous boost to every fighter.
I lost a great friend and certainly a great man to boxing. He was a great champion. In fact, I just saw him just a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. He come out to receive the greatest fighter of the century award, and he was the greatest fighter of the century. I think he was the greatest champion.